All right, go ahead and started the recording. As she said, I'm Emily Davis with Linkhouse Consultants. I'm excited to be here with you today. One note, I did say this before, but if I freeze, I promise I will stop and go over things again. I hope that my internet cooperates, but we'll just get started with that. So let's go ahead and get the presentation up here. One thing I want to let you guys know is that I'm a firm believer in participation trophies. I was raised in the millennial generation, and so I would love to do that. What I will do is that after this is all over, if you make a comment or if you ask a question or add some kind of a reaction, you'll be entered in a drawing for some Lexington t-shirt, as well as the book Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. If you are familiar at all with Donald Miller, you know that he founded StoryBrand, and as Tracy mentioned, I'm a StoryBrand certified guide. And that's really just a way of marketing your business that's based around story, having clear messaging, and making sure that your customers understand the problems that you solve and the solutions that you provide for them. It's very customer centric. So if you participate and ask the questions in the comments, then am I still frozen? Sorry.
You're good now. I think you're good. I think everyone heard that.
Hello. Hey, Tracy?
Yeah, I think
there?
you're good. I'm there. You're good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Tracy,
Okay.
if you could actually leave your video on, because then I can see if you're frozen.
Yep.
That should help us. I apologize for the technological difficulties.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'll be doing a drawing at the end based on comments and any reactions that you have. So let's get going. All right, to start off, let's talk about why should your business have a website? As a business owner, you know that you are supposed to have one. They have been a staple of business for a while now, probably 20 years since people started making them really standard. But why do we really have them? In this presentation today, I'm going to go over some common mistakes people make when they create their websites, some misconceptions that we have about websites, and then the 5 simple tips for improving our websites. And then at the end, if we have time, I would like to do a live website review to kind of go over an existing website that someone submitted and look at it and see what could be done to quickly and easily adjust the website so that it can convert visitors to customers. So all of you out that are listening, how would you describe your current website? Okay, so we're just going to do a quick little poll. Do you not have one? Did you build it a long time ago, so it might be time for a refresh? Did you recently update it, especially with the past 3 weeks? A lot of people moved online. Or are you just about ready to start from scratch? Just throw the whole thing out and come back in. How's everyone feeling about their websites right now? Okay, we have a recently updated. Some people are getting ready to launch new ones. Almost done. Sarah, I'm excited about yours almost being done. Updated recently. Great, ready for updates. All right. You know, in the past few years, I've noticed a trend with a lot of websites. Because when they came out, website functionality was very limited, they essentially acted as billboards that people would put up. They would build a website that said, here I am, this is where I am located, this is my contact information, and then there would be a long About Us page to help people understand who the seller was or who the business was so that people could know, like, and trust them, because we know that's how sales are made, right? People know, like, and trust you. The problem is that in today's market, that is no longer enough for a website. And actually, having the attitude that you have to tell everyone who you are and use that as the primary platform on your website can actually take away from the effectiveness of your website, because the reality is most of us trust the internet. You can tell just by the success of scammers that even though it may not always be to our benefit, we trust the people on the internet, that what they say is what is real. And so when we have long about us pages or take a long time focusing on the business as opposed to the problems we solve, we end up not utilizing our websites to their full effect. This is the new Billboard right here. When you Google something, you're going to have Google My Business show up. It tells people where you are located, what your hours are, what your phone number is. It even includes pictures. And if you don't have a Google My Business, I would encourage you to reach out and have someone help you set it up. It's actually pretty simple, but this allows people to quickly and easily find you, and it is free. Nobody needs to pay for hosting or URLs in order to get a billboard to tell people, stop at this exit and come see my shop. So what does that mean for your website? Well, as I said, there are some common mistakes that currently exist on a lot of websites. It's talking about what your business is instead of what problem it solves. So an example of this would be, my business was established by my grandfather 50 years ago. It's been serving the community for a long time. We're really proud of the community. We've done so much good. It's making yourself the hero of the story. And the reality is that when a customer is viewing your website, they perceive themselves as being the hero of the story that they are in. And so when they're reading your story, they think, oh, that's a nice story. I hope it goes well for them. But when you start talking about their problems and how you can help solve their problems, you become a guide. And as a guide, you can walk with them and be part of their story. And that's when you start getting brand loyalty and having people that are really interested in your business because they see how you can help them. Also, a lot of people put almost too much information on their websites. It is important for SEO to have descriptive text and to have, keywords and all of those things. But as we'll go over later, there are better ways to showcase information so that people will actually absorb it. Because if you just have lots and lots of text on your website, no one's really going to read it. You really don't need to be talking or showing too much. I've also noticed a lot of people have a set it and forget it mentality of websites. When they were first launched, they were complicated. You had to find a programmer who could do complex programming in order to get a website live. And so people rarely made changes to their website because it could be costly. With the forward movement of things like WordPress or Squarespace or Wix, there are lots of different website platforms now that make it very easy to make changes to your website. So if you've kind of had a set it and forget it mentality about your website, I hope that you'll re-examine that today, because your website is part of your marketing strategy and you should not be afraid to make changes to it, especially to the copy, to get the results that you need in your business today. Not the business results you needed 6 months ago, but the ones that you need right now, this week. And especially in this time period when there's so much uncertainty and we may be trying new things and seeing what's working and what's not, you need to not be afraid to use your website as a way of communicating with your clients and potential customers and allowing them to see what you are doing right now. Now, of course, social media is good for this as well, and this should be a strategy where you link all of those together. But just remember that your website is not a billboard and you should not be afraid to change it. A website should do more than just announce that your business exists. It should be actively helping your business grow. If it's not, in a lot of ways, it's just money down the drain every month. So again, in the past, websites were complicated. This picture just kind of depicted to me what a lot of my clients feel my job is. I often joke that my primary job is to help with frustration. Whenever people get frustrated, then they stop. They stop moving forward. They kind of toss up their hands and say, I don't want to deal with this. And that's usually when they reach out to someone such as myself. I design websites. I also do graphic design, identity marketing, and I help to solidify the marketing strategy for small businesses. with a website, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about a sales funnel. That's a term that is tossed around a lot, but I just want to go over really quickly what the sales funnel is and how your website fits into it. The concept of the sales funnel is that you start with a broad audience, gradually narrowing it down until you achieve a sale with your ideal customers. So at the top of that would be your website. It could also be social media, but it's a place where people enter into the sales funnel. So this is where they first start interacting with you. And if your website has messaging that continues to move someone along in the sales process and gets them more interested in your product, then they will move further down the sales funnel. So the way that you do this is with a lead generator. This is typically a free PDF or something else that gets people to give you their contact information. And then that allows you to connect with them in the future. You've seen a lot of people have subscriber email lists. Newsletters were popular for a really long time, and we'll talk about this a bit more later. But anything that gets it so it's easy for you to connect with that potential customer and then do a nurture campaign, a way of making them trust you more, understand you more, and what you have to offer more, and then eventually achieve the sale. So when people are talking about sales funnels, this is what they're talking about. It can sound complex, going back to that previous image of all the craziness. Sometimes marketers such as myself can make it sound really difficult because we want you to pay us to do it for you. But really, it's just leading people down a path. And there should be a clear connection between your website and eventually a sale. And there needs to be a clear path to the sale for your customers. And the easier you make it for them to buy from you, the better the sale will go. So the first tip that I have for you today, and just a note, all of these tips are going to sound really simple, and that's on purpose. And you may say, well, of course that's true, but I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of websites and they don't do this. So make sure that you examine this. So tell your visitors what you want them to do. It is shocking how many websites do not tell visitors what the next step is in the buying process. So an example of this would be a call to action. You've probably heard that phrase. Usually refers to a button or a statement that exists on the website that tells the customer, buy now, get this thing from me, schedule a consultation, schedule a review, get a quote. Anything that is big and visible for the customer to see what are the next steps. Buy now, schedule a consultation, order now, book a room, reserve a table. You do not need to have an online store with products in order to have a call to action. And in fact, if you don't have products, call to actions are even more of your friend because you want to make sure that they have a really easy way to get in contact with you in order to do the next step in the process. All right. I like to refer to this call to action as your cash register, and you need to make your cash register obvious. Donald Miller likes to use the example that if you were to walk into a store and pick up items and then you want to check out, but you can't find the cash register, that means people get frustrated, they put down the stuff and they walk out. And how weird would it be if the cash register was in someplace like the bathroom or the dressing room? And that's sometimes what we do on our websites is we bury the fact that we are selling something. But here's a newsflash. Oh, this is an old slide. Here's a newsflash is that everybody knows that you are selling something. All right. That's why you have a website. You may care about the world, you may care about your customers, and that is great. That's a part of who you are, but you are selling something. Your customer knows it, you know it. So just admit it up front and have that call to action, that cash register, that clear path to a sale, easily available for your customers. Next, make why we got into it, how we developed what we developed, the services that we offer, and getting into all of that up front. But really, your customers are interested in the problem that you're going to solve to help them. All right, this should be focusing on the customer, not focusing on your business. but focusing on your customer. As I said before, it's placing yourself as a guide as opposed to a hero, that you are there to make sure that they can succeed. I would really encourage you to listen to what your customers say in person and online. I would really encourage you to pay attention to what people say in person and online so that you can use their own words in your website marketing. So if people are saying, I feel frustrated, I feel overwhelmed, I'm just at the end of my rope, you know, those types of phrases you can use in the website so that when people read them, they'll say, yeah, I felt that. That feels real to me. The funny thing about how people make purchasing decisions is that while we justify them with language, we have really rational reasons. Something was on sale, so I bought it, or I really needed it, so I bought it. The reality is that the determination to purchase something is actually made in the part of the brain that doesn't have language. That is I think it's the hippocampus. Do not quote me on that one though. But it has to do with how you feel about something. We make gut decisions and then justify them with language afterwards. So you want to appeal to the gut of your customer, to the feelings and emotions that they are experiencing because they have this problem. So Jessica Casperson just asked, do you think surveys are great for getting these keywords? Yes, I think anytime you can kind of poll your customers in any way can be really helpful. And so you want to make sure that it's in a way that's really going to help you, like that you're actually getting real answers and not canned answers or people telling you what they think you want to hear. So informal sometimes actually works better than formal for that. But just keep that in mind. Barbara Walsh, you said SEO. Are you talking about SEO? Let me see. Yes, okay, SEO. So presenting a problem and the solution, definitely keywords can be involved in that. Let me go on. When you're presenting the problem, you're gonna put it into bite-sized chunks, and that's where you can put in different keywords. Keep in mind that SEO, sometimes, like it's important. I do believe SEO is important, but as Google has gotten more and more regionally oriented, like if I type in Thai food and I live in Lexington, Virginia, Napa Thai is going to be at the top because that's close to me. Google has gotten more regionally oriented. So for a lot of businesses, not all, but a lot of businesses, SEO is less important because it's going to narrow your geographical area anyway. And so if you're using real language that your clients are searching for, the types of phrases they use in the search bar, that's going to be really advantageous to you. And yes, SEO does mean search engine optimization. Thank you, Crystal. We needed to clarify that. SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's how Google ranks you in its listing. If you are a national brand, then you definitely their problem. I'm sorry, I keep freezing up. Hopefully I'm repeating enough that you guys are getting it. All right. Now, I know that I said don't present yourself as a hero, but it is okay to establish yourself as an authority, but always establish yourself as an authority in conjunction with empathy. That is a feeling for your client, that you know what they're going through. You have been there, you know someone who's been there, or you've seen what you produce actually get the results that they need. So when you couple empathy and authority, that gives you engagement. That is when you are actually connecting with your customers and not just talking at them, having empathy and authority. So for example, if right now I tell you, look, I've been a small business owner for 10 years. I know what it's like to struggle to understand how to connect with your customers. Even though you have a great solution for them, some of them don't see it. And that can be really frustrating. But in my 10 years, I've had lots of experience in overcoming these difficulties, that I've seen what really works and what doesn't. I've had training. All right. So make sure that you are establishing empathy and authority, that you understand what they're going through, but you can help because you have experience, knowledge, or something that can make everything feel better. So when I talked about bite-sized chunks, oh, Jessica asked me to repeat example. So when I was talking about empathy and authority, I gave the example of myself, that I can have empathy and authority for you as small business owners because I've been a small business owner for 10 years. I understand how difficult it is to try to market your business and to connect with customers. But I have also in the past 10 years received special training. I have seen what works and what doesn't work. And I know the types of things that connect with customers and get real results. So that's combining empathy and authority. So bite-sized chunks. On your website, a lot of people know that you should have, different sections of a website to make it visually easier to see what's going on. But with the bite-sized chunks, you also want to alternate what you're talking about so that people are led on an emotional journey. So for example, at the very top of your website, you usually have a headline, and make it clear. Don't worry about making it cute or clever. You want people to know as soon as they open up your website, what do? What problem are you solving? And sometimes we use really vague statements like, enjoy the little moments. From the statement, enjoy the little moments, what kind of business am I? Do I sell Polaroid cameras? Do I plan parties? Like that doesn't tell people anything. But if you say, plan the perfect party, people know that that's what you do, is you plan parties. So you want to make sure that the solution you're providing is really clear in that headline at the top. Then immediately after that, you need to present the problem to people. To say, this is a problem that people have, and then provide how your solution can fix that problem. So you're going to alternate back and forth saying problem, and then maybe some testimonials showing how you can fix that. So you present the information in different ways, but you want to alternate. Sometimes we call it positive, negative to kind of balance it out. And depending on how much information you want to give determines how many sections you really need. A lot of businesses can get away with a small number of sections, but alternate so that emotionally people say, yeah, that is a problem I have. Oh, they can fix that. Yeah, that really does stink. I don't like that this happens. Oh, they can fix that. So you're emotionally leading them down the sales funnel. So some retail examples of this would be, okay, I'll give you an example that I'm working with right now. So Sugar Maple Trading Company here in Lexington, Virginia. We are working on their website. We're still tweaking it and assessing and fixing things, but we determined early on that a big problem people have with gifts is that they don't know where to start. Some people are natural gift givers, and some people are like, I have no idea what to buy people. So that's a problem. You think that giving a gift is hard. It's difficult for you. The solution is that we can make gift giving simple and easy to do. All right. So if you go to the Sugar Maple website, you'll see that we created a gift inspiration tool where people can be led down to actually see personality types and determine what sort of things people should buy for them. We're working on ways of making it really clear on the homepage. We haven't launched it yet, but make it really clear how you can easily order items as well, especially during this time period, because a problem that people have is it's difficult to buy gifts when you can't leave your home and you don't want to shop on Amazon. And so we're trying to solve that problem. And so there are problems in retail that you are solving, even if you have a wide variety of items. One thing you can do is focus on your top sellers. Like, what are the main revenue generators for your retail business? And focus on those at the beginning of your website, and then you can always lead into more. And if anyone's interested in like a consultation on that, we can go more in depth. But sometimes we try to solve all the problems all at once. And one thing that can really help your website is to focus on a problem. And it can be a big high-level problem, but focus on a problem that people have. And then get them further into your website to start fixing all the little problems that you can do. So Gail, I hope that was helpful for on the retail side. Again, the problem can be big. It can be a philosophical, like, this is wrong. People shouldn't feel this way. That's a problem. That's an emotional problem that you are solving. All right, on to our next tip. Use bold headlines to capture attention. Again, I know this sounds like logical. Doesn't everyone use headlines? But people don't always use them well. Because what you need to remember is that people don't read websites, they scan them, especially now that we read a lot of websites on our phones. We're not interested in reading every single little detail. We want to get the highlights. And so we look for the bold text, we look for the icons to see what is important. Icons are great to use whenever you're listing like services or particular steps in your process, because they just add that little bit of extra attention to say, yes, I do marketing strategy, messaging and branding, and website development. So I have icons that depict that, so the eye latches onto that, finds it more interesting than how can we help, as you can see in the example on the screen. You can see my headline, this is from my own website. My headline says, we understand, Link House Consultants understands that business owners are very busy. You have a lot of things going on, and we want to make sure that you understand that we can help take away the pressure of marketing. So I understand, and then I'm telling you how we can help. And most people are going to jump to the how we can help section. And then giving really simple steps for people to move forward from that point. But if you look at the text underneath, we understand, I would guess a very small percentage of you, if you've looked at my website, read all of my small text. But for SEO purposes, it's good. It talks about marketing and strategy, and other places talk about small business and different things that would work for SEO. But the highlight version is what most people are going to get. I like to say you need to do a 30-second challenge on your website. If you were to hand it to a 5th grader and in 30 seconds they can't tell you what you do or what problem you solve, you probably need to simplify your website a bit. Some people also get bogged down in what's called insider language, or using jargon that is industry specific. And a lot of times clients will say, well, I can use that word because people in my field understand it. And that's good. Sometimes you do need to use it to show people that you have authority, that you know what you're talking about. But whenever possible, try to use more simple language, because you need to remember that you're not just trying to market to your target demographic. You're trying to market to their mother, their best friend, their next door neighbor, anybody that they have talked to about their problem that can see your solution and be like, oh, that's what my friend was talking about. If you're using insider language, they're not going to know what that means. So for example, earlier somebody asked, what's SEO? I was using insider language. I'm using an acronym that's very common in the web industry, but if you're a person who doesn't work in the web industry, it's just a bunch of letters. If I had said, make sure to include words that people search for in the Google bar, in the Google search bar, you guys all know what that means. That's not using insider language anymore. I'm using simpler language, but it means the same thing, that making it easy for other people to find you based on the search terms that they're using, and making sure that on your website, you have those search terms. Okay, so try to keep things simple so that you appeal to more than just your target demographic. All right. Use images that show success. A common pitfall with websites is that a lot of times small businesses who are enthusiastic about everything they've built, and I love you so much for all that hard work that you guys do and the great things that you do, but a lot of people don't care what your building looks like. That's just a reality. If the first thing they see when they pull up your website is your building, that's great for Google, so they know that they've arrived at the correct place, but it doesn't actually move the sale along. That type of image doesn't contribute to your success. It's just window dressing. But you can use images to help move the sale along. You want to show what will happen once they've used your service or product. So if you've ever wondered why on dental websites or dental advertisements, there's always people with absolutely perfect smiles, all laughing it up and having a great time, it's because they are trying to show you what will happen if you use the dentist. You're going to have this beautiful, perfect smile. Now, does that always happen? No, but that's what they're putting in your subconscious, is if I use this product or service, then I'm going to get this great result. I'm gonna be as happy as that person. Now, we all know we're being manipulated by marketing when we see these images, but they work, and that's why they keep getting used. Remember, it is about how the customer will feel, so don't feel like your picture has to be literally what will happen, okay? It can be the emotion that you're trying to express. So again, smiling, happy people. If you can get your own photographs, we have some wonderful local photographers. If you can get your own photographs of people using your product or actually being in your store or doing things that communicate that emotion, that is great. Absolutely use that. But ultimately, stock photography works just as well because it helps to communicate those feelings. Anyone who actually knows me in person, if you've gone to my website, you know that I am at the top of my website. So that makes Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry, we lost audio there for a second. All right. Where did you lose me, Tracy? She's not sure. Okay, so let's talk about, I'll go back to the example I was giving is that I am at the top of my own website. And so some people may think, oh, that's going against what I just said. But I originally had a completely different image. It was originally a picture of a businesswoman, and she was happy and she was smiling because her website was working. And as I stared at it, I realized I actually had a photo that was taken by Helen Bissett here in Lexington that actually matched that same emotion, but it was me. And I thought, you know, visitors to my website don't know what I look like until they get to the bottom and see my bio. So I might as well use my own photo that I have because it's communicating the correct emotions. And then people who do know me, they go to my website and they're like, oh, Emily, there you are. And they comment on it. But the important thing is that the emotion is what carried it through. But I could have used that picture of a businesswoman and had the same impact on my customers. And it still would have helped lead to you know, increased sales because I'm communicating that emotion. All right, now this is the most important tip that I have for all of you here today, is that your website should be collecting email addresses, collecting ways to contact people. If you don't feel comfortable with emails, you can even have them like or follow you on social. That's another lead generator, just a more passive version. But you want to make sure that you're collecting visitor emails using a lead generator, because as we all found out 3 weeks ago, sometimes things change rapidly. And if you can communicate with your audience, even your passive audience, it can be really good. I can't tell you how much I wished that I had joined some sort of mailing list for Napa Thai when everything went down, because I wasn't sure if they were open or not. And I was calling and I didn't know if they weren't answering the phone because they were closed or because they just were busy. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I wasn't on a mailing list and didn't see a lot of activity and so on social, so I wasn't sure. So anytime you can get contact information so you can send information that is helpful to people who are interested in what you have to offer, that's great. Don't feel like you have to do a weekly newsletter to have an email list. You can, you know, whenever you get their emails, it can be for what's called a nurture campaign, which is where you do get their email and then you send them maybe an email once a week just to know, let them or remind them that you exist and that you're a business in the area. You can send helpful tips, you can send recipes, you can send lifestyle information. It does not need to be long. Yes, so Karen actually just mentioned that they used a pop-up recently and it's definitely working. I would not put pop-ups on every page of the website. Gail was asking about that, just because we do get annoyed. Now, don't be too worried about whether or not people get annoyed, because we all get annoyed and we do stuff anyway. I get lots of emails in my inbox that are, quote, annoying, but I never unenroll from the email lists. I get them every single week anyway, because maybe at some point in time, I'm going to want to buy that pair of shoes that I've been looking at, you know, like, so annoyance isn't the end of the world, but every page of the website would get annoying to the point where people might be like, it's not worth being on the website. And so you don't want to scare them off, but I would on your primary page, your home page. And then if you have another page in the website that has like a specific topic, for example, Sugar Maple, which is the example I have on the screen here, they have a podcast and we just added a lead generator to their podcast. And so if it's specific to a certain topic, then I would have more than one on there. If anyone is using Shopify, Sarah's looking for additional guidance and help with that. So you guys can connect. But with lead generators, remember that this is a way to encourage your ideal client to give you their contact information. So don't just do subscribe right now. So actually, it's funny. I have Sugar Maple up. We have join our mailing list up right now, but that's because we're developing the best lead generator for it right now. So we just tossed this join the email list just in case anyone wanted to join. So not the best example I could have used, but when you are developing your lead generators, these can be free PDF downloads, they can be the email subscriptions, they can be a link to a video that's going to give additional information or additional training. Those are lead generators. It's people give you their email address in exchange for something they feel is going to be beneficial to them. You want to create lead generators that appeal to your ideal client. So don't develop a lead generator that appeals to everyone in Lexington, Virginia, if what you really want is women over the age of 45 in Lexington, Virginia, okay? A lot of times think about what would appeal to you. What would get you to give your email address away? Email addresses are funny because they are simultaneously something we toss around like it doesn't matter, but we're also we feel it's very personal. So it's both of those at the same time. So whatever your lead generate is needs to be enticing enough that somebody wants to give you their email, but not so broad that you're going to have everybody want to download the item and then not care about your emails later, okay? So Jessica Casperson was saying, I get annoyed when I can't see the page unless I fill out the form. I want to know, I like the site before giving info. So a lot of different pop-ups and ways for lead generators to exist on your website. Some of them will do the full page. If you have the ability, and not every website has this ability, to do an exit-inspired pop-up, that is usually really helpful. That is not always possible with different web platforms, but that's when somebody goes to click the X to leave or to type in the URL tab at the top, that's when a pop-up comes. If that's not a possibility for you, usually give yourself like 5 to 7 seconds before you do the pop-up so that people aren't immediately assaulted on their website. Jessica also suggested how-to roadmaps and quizzes. Quizzes are a good way. People love taking quizzes. We're all geeks and we just want to know what Harry Potter house we're going to be in, or you know, what type of like home decorating. I have taken several, what's your home decorating style quizzes. They give me different answers, but I always want to know because I feel like I don't know what my home decorating style is. So definitely using those sorts of things can help. You know, 5 ways to, you know, build a better website. I gave a lead generator as the title of this presentation. And at the end of this presentation, I am going to email out to you my lead generator, which is this presentation in a little booklet form. And so you guys will all see that and you can see how I organized my lead generator. So with the lead generators, as I said before, they allow you to have options in the future. Don't feel like getting someone's email then means that you have a blood oath to send them something every week. It just means that you have the option to contact them and to further nurture and develop this relationship with their permission. All right. So what's next? Well, like I said, I'm going to be emailing all of you for participating on this. I'm going to be emailing you your free PDF. It's several pages long, but it's mostly images because people like looking at pretty things. And using that, I did include a checklist for you to go over your website and examine the different pieces that we talked about. And then either you can make the edits yourself or get them to, if you have a webmaster or someone that helps you with your website, take a look at that. And remember what I said at the beginning, this is not a billboard, and this should not be something that you do right now and then don't pay attention to until next year. We are in a time of active change, so as your business needs change, it's okay to change the messages on your website. So if you do have a web designer that you're working with, maybe have a conversation with them about going forward, how you can make edits easy. Maybe you can transition some of that responsibility to you, that they can train you how to do it, or come up with a plan so that they're not going to nickel and dime you when you go to make changes to your website. A lot of designers are very open to making it as easy as possible for their clients to make the changes that they want. So just have those conversations to make sure that your website is always portraying the image that you want and creating the funnel that you want. Because also sometimes we create sales funnels and realize we don't like working with those people, that whoever we're attracting is actually not our ideal client. I know in the graphic design industry, a lot of times graphic designers get frustrated because they create a sales funnel that gets people who want to pay bottom dollar every single time, that they're not interested in quality. They just want it to be cheap. Okay, we're back. Sorry, we froze up again. So again, make sure that if your funnel is not delivering the clients that you want to be working with, it's time to change up your funnel, because something you are doing is attracting that type of client, okay? Now, Gail is asking, how do you structure a quiz in the website? I unfortunately can't really go over that now. That gets really nitty gritty into the type of website that you have and what options are available to you. I'd be happy to go over that with you afterwards, just to see what your particular situation is. There are different quiz creating programs out there. Some of them cost money, some of them cost less. One simple thing you could do is honestly a Google form. It would take some work to build it because you have to create a path, but that's one freebie way. It just would take a lot of time. So Jessica Gasperson did mention that I do have some videos available for tips for websites. I will admit, since the COVID-19 outbreak, I have decreased the frequency of them because I've been a bit busy, but I will be kicking that back up really soon. And I will have more tips and videos available for free on LinkedIn and Facebook for people, and Instagram for people to take a look at. All right, so remember, when you're working on your website, step forward, assess, and adjust. That's something that all of us can do. So now what I'd like to do is go over this is just the main theme of this is, remember that your website should be doing a job, should be actually helping your business grow. I'd like to go over a website live. I'm gonna stop the sharing there for a moment while I get this up. And I want to thank Mary, who volunteered to allow us to go over her website so you guys can see something in real time that we are wanting to change, or that we're going to make adjustments to. So, all right, I'm going to share this screen. Okay, can you guys see Mary Ann Williams' designs? Can you guys all see that? Okay, good. All right. So first of all, I like the feel of the site. This has a very soft feel to it. So if that is what you're going for, very refined. Now, just taking a real quick look at this website, I'm thinking blog. Like, that's the first thing. It has a structure of a blog, and that may have been how it originally started. My desk always has a work in progress on it, tempting me to paint instead of my other tasks. Okay, so you do paint. Okay, so the first thing that I would say about this is that it's not obvious what someone's supposed to do when they arrive at the website. I can see on a further inspection, you do have shop over on the side in the menu, but it's not very obvious. And so that makes it difficult for me to know when I first land on this page, am I supposed to scroll down to find more? What am I doing? And is this educational, informational? You know, so do you teach painting? Do you sell painting? Just, I know that if I dig in deeper, I'm going to see it. But what I'm trying to say is people in the first, 5 seconds should be able to tell what's going on. I know you're a designer, a creator, and a little business owner, but you don't really say what your little business is. Do you sell paintings? What do you do? So that's really important. As I said, the clear call to action would be a good one. I don't think I mentioned this, but sometimes people, we always talk about the button, and I know on some, especially if you're doing your own website, a button's hard. That's not something you can easily just drop in there. So something you can look at if you're using WordPress or similar, a lot of times you can get site-wide notices that go along the top of the screen, and they can have like a little button or a link in them. And so you can say, shop for beautiful paintings here, or something like that, to tell people what the next step is that you want to take them. So when I click on shop, okay, I can see your different beautiful illustrations and and paintings here. So we've got the downtown brick. Okay, so you do have, this is a store. This is a straight up store. Knowing that, I would really focus on this front page on that problem we're talking about. And now a problem for something like this could be that people want beautiful artwork in their home because maybe artwork makes people happy. I mean, there's studies that show that our environment affects how we feel, especially right now. I wish I had more artwork. Actually, funny story. So if you are looking at me in the video, you can see I have a piece of art behind me. When I first had to move to my home office during this outbreak, I was in my kitchen and I didn't like being in my kitchen. Sorry about the freeze there, folks. Okay, so I was just explaining that originally when I was in my kitchen, I hated my background because you could see my dog standing at the door and staring at it. And occasionally my kids would walk through, but they were cute. So I just grabbed them and make them introduce themselves to people. Yes, Tracy's got some kids in the background. Kids are actually kind of cute, but I didn't like what was behind me in my kitchen. So when I moved to my bedroom, I actually moved everything around so I could put this piece of artwork behind me because I feel better talking to people all day on Zoom when I have something pretty behind me. So artwork affects our mood. And so Mary, that would be something I focus on right now is, you know, the problem you're solving, it's an emotional one. It's, you want to feel great in your space, or you want to feel nature around you, or you want to feel something that is specific to the type of artwork that you create. You know, generate the problem that your artwork is solving. So just keep that in mind. And so problem, here's the solution, and then give them another clear way to get to your shop. So even though it's at the top of your screen, make sure that further down people can easily access that shop, make the cash register obvious. Okay. So a lot of the stuff that we went over in the tips, you know, there's no headlines in here. And when I first look at this, I see the pictures are great, but I don't know what they mean. There's no context given to them. So even just a simple headline above this first image would say, my workspace inspires me, something like that, so that I know why you included that picture. I love this hello sunshine that you have on this picture down here, but again, there's no context for it. It's just a big photograph. So there needs to be some sort of text surrounding it so that when I'm scrolling through, I understand what that means. Pictures of success for you actually can be beautiful homes. So I know I said oftentimes we have people in them because they communicate the emotions, but when you're selling the feeling of a nice space, just like when I said I pulled up this website, I'm like, oh, this is soft. If you have a well-decorated space that has your artwork in it, that communicates the emotions that your artwork produces, that is actually communicating that success to your customers. Yeah, so we need to know why we need you, as someone said in the chat box. Obviously lead generator would be great, whether that's a pop-up, or you can use, like if you have MailChimp or something similar, sometimes you can just put the subscriber box in there, but you can create them so that after someone subscribes, it automatically sends an email to them with like a PDF. So if you don't have the ability on your website, well, this is Squarespace, so you can probably pretty easily get one going. But if you don't have the ability on your website to do an automatic download right there or create a link to download right there, keep in mind that a lot of times our email marketing systems like MailChimp or Robly or Constant Contact have the ability to do automated emails that when somebody subscribes, it automatically sends them something. And so you can make it that it will send them either a link to where the freebie download is or the actual download attached. So that's one tip I have for you, is that if you want to add a subscriber list to that, to look into doing something like that. Does anybody have any questions about this particular website since I'm looking at it? Or would anybody like to volunteer their own website for me to take a quick look at? Okay, House Mountain Yarn Co. just volunteered, so I'm gonna House Mountain Yarn Co. Yarn connects us. Okay, so this, I love the big image. I mean, and I love the sentiment behind the yarn connects us. One thing I would do is add another subtitle. Like you can still say the yarn connects us if you want, but just add something that says yarn, you know, I'm trying to think. This is me off the fly, guys, so I kind of got to think for a second, but something along the lines of buy your yarn here would be really simple, or the best quality yarn in Rockbridge County, or you know, something that specifically tells people that you sell yarn, that is what your business does, because. And the reason, I know sometimes, again, you might think, well, isn't it obvious because we're the House Mountain Yarn Co. The problem is that naming conventions vary from person to person. Some people use something that sounds specific, but actually is not. For example, apple, not a fruit, okay? So it can sound very specific, but it's actually a computer company, right? So you wanna make sure that in the first 5 seconds that someone's looking at this, they know that you actually do sell yarn. And I think you sell classes, you sell some ready-made products, right? And the temptation is always to keep it really vague. We use terms like learn more or connect with us or things like that. But again, that doesn't really tell people a specific action. It's kind of a passive aggressive action that we ask people to take. And we have the same problem with subtitles and titles. We like to be clever. I mean, the yarn connects us. It is cute. It is clever. It's not necessarily clear. So you can keep it as long as you are specific on your website that, like, you know, buy yarn. And here's nothing else you could do too, is put like 3 statements. People like to think in threes. Put 3 statements, say buy yarn, learn to knit, or learn from the best knitters, or connect in classes, or, you know, so you list out actual things. You actually list out the different things that you offer, just, you know, really clearly underneath as another subtitle. Somebody suggested, you know, get it here underneath the yarn connects us, that because that subtitle does clarify the first one. The yarn connects us, get it here. That suggests that you are selling yarn. So just make sure that's clear. You do have an easy menu up here, the class and events calendar. Obviously the clear call to action would be the first thing I'd say. What is it that leads to the best revenue for you? So if you're looking at your business over the next 6 months or 6 weeks even, what would help you get the best return on investment in your website? Is it people signing up? Sorry, adventures in Zoom, everybody. I'm back now. All right, so for the call to action, I want you to think about your next 6 weeks or 6 months. What is the best revenue generator from your website? Is that people signing up for classes? Is that people actually buying yarn? Is that people buying patterns? What is going to get you the best return on investment? And that's what your call to action needs to be. So, so if classes are actually one of your best returns on investment, then I would do that. Sign up for a class. That's a really clear call to action that gets people moving as soon as they get here. Also think about when you're talking to people in person, if you're ever driving them to the website, what are you driving them to the website to do? Making it very easy for them to get to that. Sign up for classes is also another one, I think. Again, I don't know your actual return on investment with that, but if people are signing up for classes and that's what you want them to do, just making that really easy, immediately underneath your title, just being like, sign up for a class. That would be great. Or if you do want it to be selling, like right now, since we're not doing classes, if you want it to be buy your patterns here, buy your knitting supplies here, whatever it is, that's going to get you the best return. That's the call to action you want to have. Oh, it doesn't scroll. So when this pulled up, I anticipated that it would scroll. So I'm guessing you just didn't have a lot to say. And so going over what we did in the presentation, you know, you need to present a problem. Why do people knit, why do people need yarn? What's the point of yarn? So for you, that, I mean, I don't know if House Mountain Yarn Co. So Ellie, why do you sell yarn? I'm just curious. Oh, also a great suggestion from the chat box. If you can do online classes, there are definitely ways to do that where people can still have community and do the yarn. So, but Ellie, think about, you know, for your business and your brand identity, who you are as a business, what problem are you solving? Because you're going to be solving an internal problem for people, an external problem for people, and a big philosophical question for people, or a big philosophical problem. So for example, the external problem may be, I need to make gifts for my family because we make homemade gifts every year for Christmas. So I need to make a homemade gift. That's the external problem. The internal problem is, but I don't feel capable or confident in my ability to make something homemade that will be beautiful or will be useful. Like, that's an internal problem, that I have insecurities about making a handmade gift, okay? And so I need someone to tell me, you can make something beautiful that your family will love. Then the philosophical problem could be that, and this should be a big, like, good versus evil, or, you know, high concept is the philosophical problem. So this would be like, everybody should learn how to yarn, or not yarn, everyone should learn how to knit, because a gift from your own hands imprints on your heart. I'm making up horrible stuff right now, but this is just me in like 30 seconds here. But you get what I'm saying, is that it's a big, large problem, but it needs to go back to the root reason that you do what you do, is because you want to solve this really big problem, but you understand the small internal and external problem of your customers as well. Yes, and people love learning right now. A lot of people who are hoping for more distractions for getting sick of Netflix. So, although actually I have not had time to watch Netflix very much. I'm kind of sad. But I would love to do something with my hands, make me feel a little bit more productive, and something you can do while you're watching Netflix, come to think of it. So Ellie, I hope that at least a little bit helpful. I think if you go through just the tips that we talked about today, you could quickly make this website just lead people down the path a little bit more, just by presenting a problem and a solution that you have. And I'd focus on one for right now. You do have, you say drop ship and classes and events. So you do have kind of two prongs, and it's okay if you want to do like one page that focuses on events and how those events solve a problem, and another page that focuses on your products and how those products solve a problem. It's okay to have two different pages that focus on that. And then, you know, the main page focuses on the larger philosophical issue about why yarn is great. You can do that. But I hope that's clear. Everyone, I hope I described that well. It's 11 o'clock. So Tracy, do you want me to do one more, or should we go ahead and wrap it up? Is one more okay? Okay. elfboards.com. Okay. So one good thing you got going for you, shop now, is very obvious. I know you want me to shop. I would move it above, but you're going to want to use your bold headlines, is what this is missing. Obviously some more text, just to give a little bit more of a narrative, a flow of problem, solution, problem, solution. But I can see an example, so I know what it is you do. And since you have a big shop now button, at least I know what action you want me to take. So even though, you know, as a designer, it'd be easy to look at this and be like, well, it's not very designed. I'm guessing you probably put it up yourself. It actually functionally serves its purpose, that this will get people to look and click a shop now button. And so if I get here, then I'm looking at your product, and these are beautiful. These are beautiful, you know, is it cutting boards? I guess that's one thing. They're handmade boards. G-screw. So I'd make it clear that these are cutting boards, not just like decorative boards or something else. Always assume, again, that you're talking to like a 5th grader. That helps when you're writing website copy. Because if a 5th grader's not going to get it, then a lot of your visitors to your website unfortunately won't either, because we just read too quick. We look at things too quickly. We're not using our higher processing functions. So that would be helpful if saying like, these are premium cutting boards or custom made cutting boards or whatever. But these are beautiful. So like I said, even though you may not have done a lot to this website yet, design wise, functionally, just reversing the order of shop now or whatever, you don't even actually have to reverse it, just putting the title that this is cutting boards. This functionally can actually get people into your sales funnel. Obviously adding a lead generator would be helpful. Like if they go to the shop now page, I would actually put the lead generator on here, because people might look at some of these are high price, like $70 for a cutting board. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that yet. So I might come back to your website more than once to take a look at it. So I would actually put the lead generator on this page, that after they've been browsing for like 10 seconds or they're going to leave, that's when a pop-up comes and says like, hey, are you interested in learning more? Let me think, what would be a good lead generator for this? 3 ways to use your cutting board for more than just cutting fruit, or 3 safety tips for cutting boards, why wood is better than plastic for cutting boards. That, like an informational sheet on why wood is better for cutting boards would be good. You know, something that makes that just moves them further along and thinking, yeah, I could use this. This is something that I need. Because again, we make emotional decisions. I'm looking at this and I have plastic cutting boards. I'm just gonna tell you right now, but these would be prettier in my kitchen than my really super ugly plastic cutting boards. And so even though this one's $70, I'm like, that's pretty. And it looks like it's big. I haven't done the quick view here yet, but dimensions would be good. Just as a note on your products, if you could do dimensions. Oh, there it is. Maybe see if you can change it so in quick view, it actually displays that. That'd be good. You know, 11 by 11.75, that's a pretty big cutting board. So all those little things help me make the decision that maybe not today, I'm not going to commit to a $70 cutting board, but come Christmas time when I'm looking for something, or Mother's Day, come like Mother's Day or another holiday event, you know, I might come back because I've got a brother who loves to cook and he chops stuff up all the time. I'd be like, you know, this ply parade cutting board looks like my brother and I should get that for him. So I might return. And so information on how to care for a wooden cutting board would be great. That one's from the chat box. Or why it's superior to plastic. 3 ways that you can use it for more than just cutting fruit, you know, things like that, that just help people move from this looks interesting to, oh, I need that because emotionally I feel like I need it. All right. And yes, there was Artists in Cahoots. I'm just going to sneak you in. And if anybody has to hop off, you can. Artists in Cahoots, I'm going to take a look at your website really quick before we wrap up. Unique art and gifts crafted by local artists and craftspeople. So you do a good job of saying what you are. I mean, that's Artists in Cahoots, and you state it really clearly. So again, the call to action would be a great thing here. You have buy online buried in your menu. So I would remove that from the menu and make it its own call out, its own thing. So I think I inferred this in my discussion with all of you, but about needs a lot less attention than we give it. If you were to look at the analytics of your website, the number of people that go to about pages, it's pretty small. People don't care that much. So a lot of times you can put it in the footer. We refer to this sometimes as the kitchen sink. Everything that you don't want in your menu, you just put in the bottom of footer of your website. And then people, if they're really deep divers, because there are personalities that like to do deep dives and they want to read everything that you say, put it in the bottom where it's no longer the top thing that people are looking at. So, you know, about the gallery, because that is, let me see. Oh, this is actually your space, the physical gallery. Okay, I was thinking slideshow, which is the next thing. Well, these are interesting. Keep in mind that the purpose of the website is to get people to buy. So you want to highlight things on the website that actually lead people in the decision to buy from you. What does it hurt? Especially if someone's like a tourist or something, you can say like, schedule your tour so that you know someone's coming intentionally to look at artwork in person. That can be helpful. Obviously, buy online is a good one. So it looks like because you are, you know, a group of local artists and craftspeople, make it easy for people to contact the sellers. Like, I know you've got click here, but it's really hard. It's when we're doing the quick scan, we're not saying click here. So like a button that says contact seller, or call or email the seller now. Just be more specific. Again, when we just click here is an action, but it's not the specific action to actually know what you're doing. Email the seller or call the seller tells people what's happening so that they feel comfortable clicking it, because like, oh, I know what's going to happen when I click this button. It's going to, you know, fill out a contact form, or it's going to make it so I'm calling them or I'm emailing them. Just make it so that the path to purchase for all of these different sellers is really easy until you're at a point where you can do, you know, an online sale. Yeah, see, these are also pretty, the hard you know, what's for sale, what's not. And this is, I know these are samples of the type of artwork for the artists. I mean, we're kind of going a little bit deeper dives than I was intending to do, but my recommendation would actually be, instead of a general gallery for each of the individual people, you need to make it clear that you're actually describing the artist and their style more than having up just like a sample of their work, just to make it really clear that like Marsha Heatwool, I apologize if I spelled that or said that incorrectly, you know, and so it looks like she paints. Let me see when you click on it. Mixed media on paper. I mean, making that just more obvious. People don't have to click very far. People usually only want to click maybe 2 to 3 times on a website, especially now that we are scrolling with our thumbs a lot of times. The less clicking people have to do, the better. So making it so it's easy for people to get information just in chunks, where it's like, okay, samples of artists' work, and so you can see their name, what type of medium they do, and then a sample, would actually help people understand what part of the website they're on better. And I wouldn't be afraid to put this actually on the main page. The tricky thing about images on homepages is the more images that you have, the slower loading time. Well, actually, this isn't the same gallery, but it's similar. It's the artwork. So you have to be careful balancing how much art or how much imagery you have on your homepage so that your load time isn't slowed down too much. But remember, people like pictures. Can you guys hear me again? Okay, we're good again. Sorry, everybody. People ask if people like Meet the Artist people. I think for something like this group, you know, this cohort that's coming together, it is important to understand who the different artists are, because I want to know what the different styles are that are available. So that is important. But I think that information, again, could be on the homepage. That makes it really easy. So Artists in Cahoots, I would want to have a much deeper conversation about this. But again, off the top of my head, one problem that you could be solving is that people want to buy local art, but they don't want to go to artists' homes all the time. And so you are providing a space where people can see local art all together and be able to support local artists in one space, okay? Because you're bringing people together, all right? You're bringing the customers and the artists together in an easy location, making it easy for everyone involved. I'd want to simplify that statement a ton, but that's the general concept in my brain that I'm thinking that's the problem that you're solving, because it was an actual problem that you guys solved by coming together. That was probably in your brain when you formed your business. So don't be afraid to tell people that, unique art and gifts crafted by local artists and craftspeople, that's great. But when you're talking about it on the website, let people know that, what difference does it make if I buy from you versus going on Wayfair and purchasing just artwork, right? Okay. Am I back? Okay, we're back. So not sure exactly where I lost you, but I was just saying, like, you do need some text to give people an indication of why they should buy from you instead of buying from Wayfair. Why local art matters, why being able to actually feed artists is important in society, that kind of a thing. That's one thing I do kind of love about things that are art or craft oriented, is the emotional component is right there. Like, people do these things because they have a strong feeling behind it. So so that's a fun conversation that you should have when you're looking at your website, is talking about internal problem, external problem, and then the philosophical problem that you're solving. And that's what you should talk about on the website. So, all right. It is now well past 11 o'clock. So that's going to be my last one for today. But, if anybody is interested, hold on, I'm going to share my new screen. This is my contact info. Obviously, you can go to my website. I do offer free consultations for 30 minutes if anybody is interested in doing a quick overview of their website. You can contact me on LinkedIn. That actually is where I normally, when I'm not emotionally overwrought because of society shutting down, I participate in social media a lot. I'm getting back on that bandwagon. But LinkedIn is a place that I tend to go a lot, as well as Facebook and Instagram. I'd be happy to have conversations with you guys. There are also some other wonderful companies in Lexington that do website design. I've seen like Lexington Marketing Services, Mariner Media is another one. If anybody knows any more, in the chat box, put it in there. There's plenty of work to go around for all of us, and we all have different working styles and people that we enjoy, different ideal clients we like working with. But there are some really great local places you can go to get assistance with websites. And I'm certainly happy to have discussions with you. And I'm going to send out that PDF to everyone who registered for the webinar today. And hopefully that helps you as you're crafting the next stage in your business and helping to elevate your website, taking it from just a billboard to an actual active part of your marketing strategy. So thank you for being here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Emily, we have a little local gift card for you, so we'll drop that off in your mailbox. So we appreciate all your help. And everyone, just keep an eye out for emails, and we'll send you a wrap-up. Remember to keep an eye out and to visit the Chamber website for resources during this time, updates about grants that are available, other workshops that are going to be coming available from us. We appreciate all of you, and just staying in touch, and hopefully we'll hear from you and hopefully see you again soon. But y'all have a wonderful weekend, and see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.